Hey, my name is Katie Pijanowski, and I'm a certified life coach and motivational speaker, and I'm here to help you unlock your true strength so you can create the life of your dreams. I teach you my best tips to master your mindset, create confidence, and empower yourself to take back your life. It's your time. This is the Mind and Body Strong podcast. Welcome back to the Mind and Body Strong podcast. I have another special guest here with me. I'm super excited. She was in my, took the same certification as me for health and life coaching, which is super cool. And her name is Sarah Dupre, and she is a certified health coach who uses the HAS approach, which for my listeners who maybe aren't familiar, it means health at every size, and specializes in intuitive eating so that she can rid the world of those limiting beliefs that trick you into thinking you're not good enough. I help you ditch crass diets so that you can love your body, make peace with food, and eat the dang pizza. Girl, I love it. She is so awesome. We were just chatting a little bit before we hopped on record, and I just love her energy, and we connect on so many levels, and I can't wait for her to share her story. So welcome, Sarah.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that intro. Yeah, let's just get straight into it. So a big reason why I became a certified health coach is because I have a very long history with dieting. And so, and in a bad way. And I started my first diet when I was, I think, 10 years old. And I dieted on and off until I was about 18 or so. And then, then it turned into a lifestyle change, which is really, to me, it was just a fancier, more socially acceptable version of dieting. It was still just the cycle of restricting and binging and restricting and binging. And it wasn't until I found intuitive eating that my health and my self-worth and really, honestly, my whole life really just started to improve.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a breaking point, before you found intuitive eating and you're going through all these diets and the diet culture that we're just kind of swimming in everywhere? Was there a point in your journey where you're just there has to be another way, and that's when you found intuitive eating?
I had a lot of breaking points before I found intuitive eating. I feel like I just kept breaking over and over. And I remember one moment specifically. I was in American Eagle and I was trying on jeans, and the jeans fit, but as I was pulling them up, I found 3 new stretch marks, and they were dark purple. And I just broke down. I just started bawling in the dressing room. And that's not the first time I've cried in a dressing room, but that was a huge moment where it ruined my week. It just ruined everything. And so, and they were stretch marks. It was the kind of thing where it was something so small should not shake my entire world. And I think I knew that, to an extent, but it was just a really big wake up call of this is not working. This whole holding all of my worth in how my body looks is not working. And at that point I was 22 years old. I'm in for a long life full of my body changing a lot. And so I better start loving it now.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think so many of my listeners can relate to the breakdown in the dressing rooms. I know when I was going through my early stages of intuitive eating, I had a lot of those moments where, things weren't fitting properly anymore. And it was I had to really do a lot of work around that piece of it. So I'm curious, what are some of the things that really helped you adapt into this new normal lifestyle outside of diet culture, with your body and food?
Oh yeah. I think a really big one was just talking about it, talking about it with people. I think I did just get to the point where I was really tired of hiding that this took over my brain so much, for so many years of my life. And it turns out when you share something really deep and vulnerable, you think it's going to just reveal all of the dark, scary, terrible parts of you, and people are going to hate that. But it's actually incredibly healing and creates so much community, because if you've ever shared anything like that about yourself, like I just did, you probably are going to get a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, me too. Let's talk about it. And then more and more, it was like, man, this is so unacceptable. Like, I don't want to live in a world where women, like so many women and men, feel this way. So, yeah, I think that's like probably the biggest one for me. The second one was getting a coach, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Yeah, no, definitely having like mentorship and just being able to talk about it. Like, are you familiar with Brene Brown's work?
Oh, yeah.
So she talks all about like shame and guilt and all those things. And she talks about how, if you like put, I don't know what she talks about, like a petri dish type of situation where if you like put shame and guilt in there in the dark, it's just going to like, just multiply and just grow and grow and grow. So it's like when you're keeping all of these negative things about how you feel about food in your body inside, it's just growing and growing and growing and just controlling your whole life. And until you shed some light on it, and you can actually stop the growth of that negativity, you bring the light to the shame and the guilt, you acknowledge that's what it is. It really does help the healing process.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it is like getting kind of angry about it. Like, this is unacceptable. I do not accept that this is just going to be my experience and everyone else's experience forever. And that's kind of scary to have that kind of like, that come to Jesus moment, because it's like, oh, okay, well now what do I do about it? And that's where, you and I come in, where it's like, look, we have a community and a space to talk about it. And then we're going to be able to shift and change it. Like, because if we don't talk about it, then there's no way we can support each other, let alone fix it.
Right, exactly. We definitely do need to continue to talk about it and to like normalize, this process. And like intuitive eating, like people I think it's mostly just eat whatever you want, right? But it's so much more than that. It's like an entire life healing process.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I completely agree. And I know you and I have talked about how, most people think that when you let go of dieting and that kind of restrictive lifestyle, that like, oh no, I'm going to gain 5,000 pounds and just eat a mountain of ice cream and pizza. And the truth is, you probably will eat a mountain of ice cream and pizza at first, because
I did.
Yeah, I totally did. Like, it's incredible. And it's like really scientifically proven that a binge will always follow a restriction. And that's not your body being like, the enemy here. It's your body actually looking out for you and being like, oh, okay, food is available. I need to eat so that I can like keep you alive. Mm-hmm. And that is a beautiful thing. Thank you so much, body, for keeping me alive.
Yeah, that became one of my biggest affirmations through healing, is just like, thank you, body, for all that you do. And just reminding myself of like the small things that my body does. And like, I gained through my healing process and like binge eating and all that stuff, I gained probably 30 pounds back. After being really restrictive with food and over exercising like crazy. And I really had to come to this place where I could, like, I remember like going through this process. I started feeling really good with food after a couple weeks just of diving into intuitive eating myself. But then my focus shifted to, oh, my body though, like, oh, I need to lose weight. Like, maybe I'll just lose weight and then start intuitive eating. How do you feel about that part of it?
Oh my gosh. I hear that so often when people are like, I think I'm going to lose the weight and then I'll use intuitive eating to manage the weight loss. And I can't even blame anyone for thinking that. Like, I totally get that logic, but the truth is, like, 95% of folks gain the weight back that they lose within 5 years. And it's likely because that diet wasn't sustainable for their life. Like, basically none of them are. Or B, you went below your set point weight, which is, we all have a natural healthy weight that we end up at, give or take 15 pounds. And our biology just doesn't care what kind of body type is trending at the moment. It wants to keep us where we're naturally like the healthiest. And that looks completely different on everybody. So, and that's a very good thing that our body wants to keep us there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you had mentioned earlier how, you realize this at like 22 and like, my body's going to have so many different transformations throughout my life. I know for me, a big part of doing this work now, I'm 26 now.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is knowing that one day I'm going to be a mother and like wanting to have kids and not wanting them to grow up seeing their mom like hate their body. And so, or hate her body, because they're going to learn that behavior from me. Right. And so that's like one of my biggest motivating factors is like, I know that I want to give them the support and like skills and just be able to do that for myself. Because I mean, women's bodies, especially, they're going to transform like so many times. Like it's insane to think that you're going to be staying like in your high school jeans your entire life. That's insane.
Yeah. And yeah, despite what diet culture tells us, our bodies are actually supposed to change a lot. And I think, I totally agree. If I become a mother someday, then yeah, your body should change. Yeah. And I think we're totally bombarded with, these magazines of celebrities who have babies and they're like, wow, look at her bounce back, or wow, look at her, this like fat slob. And it's just, neither one of those is healthy to consume, because it's just, this idea that a woman's body before or after birth is something to be judged, or something that makes meaning out of who she is as a person. Mm-hmm. That was something when I found intuitive eating, that I realized was that it's like, this isn't about, and this isn't a new diet. This isn't the like hunger and fullness diet. This is something totally different. It's about replacing that control with connection. Like we're always trying to control what our body looks like, and like, oh gosh, if I get pregnant, it's going to change. Or if I get old, when I get old, it's going to change. And like, like hopefully you get old. Right. And so connecting with your body, it likely looks like pizza on one day and, salad on another day. It changes with your needs, like what you like to eat, what keeps you satisfied, how your hormones are changing. Mm-hmm. It's a really beautiful thing to embrace that connection and let go of that control that we thought was keeping us safe, but it was actually keeping us in the dark.
Yeah, and keeping us on this hamster wheel, like where we can't get out. And I know, like for myself and for a lot of my clients, I've noticed that because I work a lot with like showing them how their thoughts impact their results that they get in life. So like thoughts create feelings, create actions and results. And I think a lot of people I work with, and I experience this too, try to pull the feelings out and just pretend they're not there. Like, I'll just, pave over that part, and I'll just action all day long, follow the diet, follow this, and then you stop and all the emotions take over.
Oh yeah. Which is often when the binge happens.
Yeah. That's how it did for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too. Man. Very familiar with that.
Yeah. You brought up an interesting point, like coming back to like comparison and like, especially on the internet with ourselves and comparing ourselves to like other women's bodies, or even comparing ourselves to maybe our body, how it used to look. So I'm curious as to some of the things that have helped you and that help your clients kind of get through that piece of comparing yourself and finding this like stable ground, I guess, or for yourself.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's such a good question. I think the main thing, like the first thing that I tell my clients who are struggling with comparison, especially, where do we get this the most? It's usually social media. And so I usually tell people to diversify their news feed or their social media feed. And what I mean by that is show yourself diverse body types, because chances are, like most of the time, we can find beauty in other people easily, like whether their body is bigger or smaller, or, they have a different skin tone or different ability, like whatever it is, we can find beauty in another person, but we struggle to find it in ourselves. And so when you like just kind of rewire your brain to, because you're going to be scrolling on social media no matter what, let's be honest here. So if you can rewire your brain to be like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Oh, and so is this. Oh, and so is this. Then it's a lot easier to accept that a changing body or just different bodies overall are actually gorgeous and wonderful. That's like a really quick, easy, very tangible action step that you can do, just to start that process of shifting that mindset around comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I started doing too, or even just there was people who maybe I still wanted to be connected with, but I couldn't see their content all the time. So you can do this wonderful thing where you just don't follow them or you don't see their posts, but you still like are friends. I recommend, because it's really all about your healing process. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Like, you have to do what's best for you. And if that is something that's bringing you down and causing toxicity in your life, like, remove it.
Yeah.
Why are you going to cause yourself intentional suffering?
Totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's such good advice. Just unfollow. It's okay. Like, and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with these like beautiful, like thin women on social media. They're probably wonderful people, but if you know yourself and you know that like you're starting to compare, then absolutely protect and honor yourself that way just by removing that.
I think especially in the beginning of your process into this, because you're so triggered by those types of things, I think that's when it's most important. But really just overall, reminding yourself that there's so much about you that is not your body and that is not the food you put in it. Like,
yeah.
What do people say about you? You know, that you're kind or that you're always there for them and you always talk them through things and you're always the first one they call, like things like that really at the end of the day, I think measure up to be a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. That's another action step I've given clients before is when they, when you for so long are just completely caught up in what my body looks like equals my worth, or how hard I work equals my worth, or whatever it is. What happens when your body changes, or what happens when you lose your job, or like these external things change. So some of my clients are a lot more comfortable with this than others, but I still make them all do it, where they they reach out to like 3 to 5 people in their life close to them, and you just ask like, what do you value about me, or like, what can you count on me for? And it's never ever like, you're just like super pretty and you're like, right, I love your body. Like, it's never probably never gonna be that.
No.
And if so, then congratulations on your beautiful body and your beautiful face. But
right,
other than that, like, you know, so yeah, it's just starting to open up, like take a step back and open up your mind to the possibility of, oh, there is actually life happening outside of what I can see and what I believe right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. It's such a tangible tip that can be taken away from this. Just ask other people, like, what do you value in me? Like, what can you count on me for? I loved that. That was really good. Super powerful.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, through your journey of intuitive eating, we kind of talked about the beginning part and starting it. So now I'd love to hear, now that you're in this space with intuitive eating, like what has that brought to your life outside of like just feeling better with food and body? Like, what else have you gained from going on this journey?
Oh my gosh, I've gained a lot. I've gained a little bit of weight, that's for sure, but I have gained so much good stuff. So, the belief that my weight can go up and down, or my body can look different, and it means absolutely nothing about me other than my body looks different. Before, like I mentioned with the stretch marks, to me that was a symbol of like failure and like imminent, like disease and like all of just like these crazy catastrophized ideas in my head. And now, like literally, I found a new stretch mark like a couple months ago, and I was like, it looks really cool. Actually, it kind of looks like a lightning bolt, like Harry Potter scar, but like on my stomach. It's great. So, but like in all seriousness, like the fact that my body can change, and I could someday be pregnant, or I can like grow old and not, and it has nothing to do with my worth, is like everything I I never knew that I could have in my life. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I've noticed like in my journey, I feel like one of my clients said this the best. She was like, I feel like I have more headspace.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, 100%. Like I have quite a few clients where that's the thing. Like we always talk about like what could be possible if your head wasn't just like absorbed or absorbing just all of this diet culture and worry and anxiety. And they all say like, oh my gosh, headspace. I could actually have a hobby. Like I could be more attentive to my children, all these different things. And if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know. Like,
right.
I don't know what.
There's probably a lot of other healing we need to focus on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Another thing. Sorry. Another thing was like I feel a lot more connected with myself, which in turn, bleeds into every part of your life. But when I feel connected, I feel really confident with who I am. So it means that I've been able to ask for promotions. It means I have been able to take ownership of myself. And I'm not searching outside of myself anymore to validate if I'm a good human being or not. And man, God, I feel like I could talk about that forever, but that's another like huge one where I'm like, oh my gosh, no one else gets to decide for me if I'm worthy or not. That's mine.
Yeah, when you finally like recognize that and like start to challenge all of these like hairy thoughts and that we've been carrying around for so long and questioning like why they're even there, and no longer welcoming those. And I think that's where it can be really empowering because you realize that it is all up to you. And I think in the beginning, I remember there was a point in my journey where it was like, well, I don't want it to be all up to me because I didn't want to take responsibility because that was scary, like, oh, I don't want to own up to the fact that I need to change me. I want like someone else to change me, or I want this diet to change me.
Of course, because that seems so much easier. Like someone else has already, created the thing that's going to do that for me. But yeah, it's not all rainbows and daisies. It's a lot of like hard inner work, but it's the only way to make this kind of like sustainable life change. Like to make it your new normal, you have to do the inner work. And yeah, some of it is incredible and these huge, like inspiring breakthroughs. And some of it is like crying through these old beliefs that used to hold you back.
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of it. And we can't skip over allowing ourselves to feel those negative emotions.
Yeah.
And like, I think we so often just want to block them out and just change them right away. But part of it is, I feel is like allowing them to go through our bodies and like express them, and then know that like, it's okay to sit in those feelings, but that there's more productive ways to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I really consider it a way of honoring yourself and honoring your emotions when you actually do, like, you don't have to let them rule your life, but definitely sit with them for a second because they can point you somewhere that needs to be healed. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to bring up too, like you said pointed to where you need to be healed. And when you brought up the process of like gaining weight, among other things, I've also gained weight throughout my experience, but like I no longer like look at that as such a bad thing. I'm like so thankful for that weight gain because it's a symbol of my healing, and it's a symbol of me making it through like one of the toughest seasons of my life. And so I'm so thankful that my body gave me that opportunity to survive and, in the best way it could at the time.
Yeah.
Until I finally made a better mind and body connection and was able to listen to my body instead of rejecting everything it was telling me. So I feel like that's a place where you can start to move towards is viewing those things you might once have thought negative as, I'm in the process of, accepting where I'm at, or whatever you might have to think to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a huge, huge element of this is dismantling our own fat phobia, really. And like, because there's so much systemic fat phobia in our culture, at least in the US. And yeah, it's really hard. It's super hard to confront those pieces of yourself, but it's so, so good. And yeah, and it's interesting. I think a lot about how if you're recovering from binge eating or recovering from an eating disorder or whatever it is, then yeah, you're probably going to gain weight, and that's a really, really good thing. That's really good for your body in that time. And you know, you'll see a lot of people, especially like trolls on the internet, or just even like your aunt or like people close to you who are like, but what about your health? Right. And people become very concerned about your health. And the truth is, with intuitive eating and with recovery and then intuitive eating, your health improves so much. Like regardless of your weight going up, down, staying the same, your health improves, and my health improved a ton. And yeah, that's been really, really cool, because separating those two things has been a journey. Like separating your weight from your health has been a journey for sure, because that used to be, you know, they're the same. Like that's how I tell how healthy I am. But in reality, we know that I was not healthy at all when I was binging and restricting and all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't necessarily look at the actions that you're doing, because you might be doing the same action of, say, I always give this example, like eating a salad, right? Like that's the action, you're eating a salad. But I feel like the result comes from, what is the feeling driving it? Is it like, I'm truly eating this because I feel like it's going to fuel my body and I want it? Or is it like, I'm eating this because it's the only healthy thing around me and I have to, and I'd rather be eating a burger right now? Like that's completely going to give you two different results.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like physiologically, your body changes when you eat something in that stress response, and the sympathetic nervous system is activated. And so, yeah, I have a background in chiropractic, so I get really excited talking about the nervous system, but I won't for too long. But yeah, your body really, really, it doesn't digest very well. It doesn't assimilate nutrients. Like it's really hard on your digestion to eat food under so much anxiety and stress, even if it's a salad, or even if it's something really, you know, that would normally be really easy to digest. So it's not just about like, you'll feel better and you'll love yourself. It's also like, literally your body will heal and will be so much healthier, along with all the other beautiful, lovely things.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely about taking a step back and like rewiring everything that's being put into the actions, like, and de-stressing your life and decluttering your life, and like all these really things that sound so simple when you hear them. Becoming aware of like what you're doing and what you're thinking. I remember I had a therapist tell me that, like, oh, you're just going to be aware that you're eating the whole box of Oreos, and then you might still eat the box of Oreos. And I was like, what? Like, it was so foreign to me, because I was still in that like dieting mentality of like, just tell me how to get to the result.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that is a really good way to feel like a failure a lot of the time too, is like relying on somebody to tell you, am I doing this right? Because like, it's not the sexy answer, but everybody's health is so different. Everybody's bodies are so different that there is no right way. Like it's going to be so different for everybody. And so, yeah, that's such a cool moment with your counselor.
Yeah, I remember that moment so clearly. It was like my first counseling session. It was like, you're just like, really the first step of stopping binge eating is just like being aware that you're doing it. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're doing it. But then, you know, a year later, more than a year later now, I'm looking back thinking like, that's probably the best advice I needed in that moment, because it didn't mean doing anything differently. Yeah. It just meant like, open your eyes to the fact that this is happening, and like, don't beat the heck out of yourself.
Yeah. That, which is like groundbreaking when you're when you've been in that mindset for such a long time.
Mm-hmm. Especially with diets, you're always thinking like, well, if I don't follow this exactly and I go off a little bit, that feels like failure, therefore triggering all of these like, you know, self-critical thoughts. And just really not putting you in the best mentality, increasing your stress and anxiety, and doesn't lead to great things.
No. Yeah. I have done a lot of different diets, a lot of different types of restricting, and my body looked amazing. Like that's what people told me, and that was very validating, but I never felt like I was there. I never felt like I made it to, this like ideal. And that was a big eye opener for me. Like earlier when you were talking about comparing, this body to someone else's body or this body to your old body, like that's a big one. That's a big one to look at, because for me, when I look back at my old body, my eating disorder body, really, I look really different and I look really tired and really sad. Like, and I know because it's me, I know that I was not happy at that time, and that I needed that, like I needed what I know now so bad then, but I can still honor my past, my younger self for, doing what she thought she needed to do to get love or to get acceptance. And so,
yeah, I feel like forgiving your past self for what you went through is like part of the process. Like I always say, like you're always just doing the best with what you can, like with what you know in the moment. Like that's just what you're doing. Like you didn't know then what you know now, and like so you wouldn't have been able to change anything. And it's like just a part of your evolution.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm grateful. Like it's taken me a long time to get grateful for what I have been through, because it was like excruciating and isolating and really, really hard. And I spent a while being really angry at my younger self, because I was like, you're so stupid. You did this to yourself. Like, and it caused a lot of health issues for me that I'm still dealing with now. And so there's so much anger until like 6 months ago or so. And I was just like, nah, I can't be mad at her. Like she did everything that she thought she had to do to be loved, and every human wants to be loved. And so like, no, there's no way I'm blaming her for that. And so, and that is another, like I'm years into this now, and I'm still having moments like that where I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, this is another level up where I'm like making real peace with all of this.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece of it, is like it's just always transforming, and it's an ever like going healing process in so many different areas. It's not just food and body, it becomes so much more than that, and just being open to whatever you might need in that moment. And when you really start to listen inside, like there's just so much that can come of that. So Sarah, tell us where we can hang out with you online and how you help your clients.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to. So I have, of course, Facebook and Instagram, like any person does. And I believe the links for those, the social links for those will be, in the podcast. And the way that I help my clients, I love, love, love working one-on-one with people. I, of course, with a whole bunch of different things, but what we've been talking about this whole time is really my bread and butter. No pun intended. I've never even thought about that. It's so funny. It's not that funny. I just think
I like it though.
That's my bread and butter, is really helping people who are just freaking done with dieting and still want to, like, they want to eat pizza. They want to love their body. They want both, but don't see how that could be. And I promise you that can absolutely be a thing. And so one-on-one coaching is my favorite, but I'm really excited because I'm launching my group program that is like specifically talking about this, about intuitive eating, breaking up with diet culture, and really making peace with your body and having freedom with food. So it's called the Food Freedom Group Coaching Program. And you can apply to work with me in the link in my bio on Instagram, and also on my website, which is serotoninhealthcoaching.com. Serotonin is the happy hormone and one of my favorite nicknames that I've had. So so lots of there's a couple different ways to work with me. I also, I have Sarah's Pizza Party, which is my Facebook and Instagram live series that I do. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. I do it every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's kind of like this.
Pizza party next week.
It's so fun because I love the live stuff because I just love community and being able to interact with people. But basically every week we talk about like, okay, this week we're addressing emotional eating. This week we're addressing personal boundaries. This week we're addressing, stress and how that affects the body, just different things, and just how to be a healthy human, like in real life, and not, you don't have to juice celery every morning to like qualify as a healthy human. It's going to look different on everyone. So Sarah's Pizza Party is about embracing that because I love pizza.
It's a Facebook group.
It's a Facebook Live. So yeah, so you'll see it on my my personal page and on Instagram as well. So
okay, perfect. Well, we'll make sure to link that all in the show notes. So definitely go check out Sarah and see what she's doing over there. Join her pizza party because I know I'm going to now that I know this is a thing. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and your stories and your tangible takeaways. I know that everyone is going to take away so much from this. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And it's just so beautiful and refreshing to talk to another coach who is standing for people's transformation in this way. Like, whether people work with me or with you or with someone else, I feel like I can speak for both of us and say that like we are standing for your transformation and we want the best things for you. So thank you, listeners, for being here. And let me know. Let us know if we can support you.
Yes, definitely reach out and let us know and leave reviews so we know exactly what you're loving so that I can continue to bring more amazing guests like Sarah on here and continue to bring awesome content. So we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Mind and Body Strong podcast. You are what makes this movement and message possible. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend, a coworker, a family member, or take a screenshot and share it on your favorite social media platform and tag Mind and Body Strong. To learn more about coaching and courses to help you take your journey to the next level, visit mindandbodystrong.com.